Okay, this recipe is for the pasta dough. We have our double O flour, we have our salt and olive oil, and then our eggs. Okay, you're going to take the KitchenAid and go ahead and add the flour to the bowl. Go ahead and use your paddle or a hand and make a well. Go ahead and add the salt. Okay, and then we'll also add the olive oil and the eggs. Egg. We're gonna hook the machine back up to the KitchenAid. Okay, and we'll put the paddle back in. Just make sure you find the divot, put it on top and twist, and so it locks in. You'll lift the lever to lock it in. So it's locked in the back, it's locked in the paddle, and then it's locked up top for the bowl. And then you're gonna turn it on to stir. Mix low until the dough forms. Okay, once the dough releases from the bowl, it's ready. And even if there's a little bit of dry flour on the bottom, it's okay. You'll go ahead and take your plastic wrap, you'll lay it on your table. This is just some more flour, and you want to cover your hands with flour. And I'm doing it on purpose on the plastic so that some of the dust comes onto the flour or the plastic wrap. And then you'll lift the paddle, release it, unlock the bowl, and take your floured hands and pull off the dough from the paddle. You don't want to use too much, you're just doing it enough so that it doesn't stick to your hands too much. Then you'll take the dough, and some of the wet parts will be available, so you can tap the center of the bowl to get all the extra flour off. A little bit more flour, dust your area. You can lightly work the dough, and you want a dusting. You don't want it to be drenched in flour, you just want a light dusting of it so that you can form a ball. Place it in the center, okay? And as you can see, if your hands have some flour on it, you can rub it and it'll take all the excess dough off of your fingers. Throw it back into the dough. And then I just loosely wrap the pasta. I just fold, and then I would fold again. Press all the air out, and then I will take the rolling pin and just roll it into the plastic wrap, and it will form, it will fill the void of all the empty spaces in the plastic wrap, and then you can just put this in your fridge to let it set for 20 minutes. Okay, we're gonna take our pasta and unwrap it, and then it will be lightly sticky, which is okay. You want to save this plastic because you'll need it. Okay, and then you'll lightly dust your pasta, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it. I think cutting it into fours might be the easiest size to work with. You can always dust your knife, and then go ahead and place your dough back in the plastic and cover it. It's okay if you make a mess. Go ahead and dust the dough that you're working on. Take your rolling pin and also lightly dust it and then roll it out. Okay, so once you've worked that out, I'm just gonna dust the edges. You can place the dough in the middle. The back of your hands will be the most useful for you today. It's to help guide and hold the pasta. You don't want to use your fingertips too much because it will actually cause, you'll do it twice on the same number, and you always want to dust it, and then when you go down to the next number, you also always go like this side goes in first, and then the end will go in first, and you always want to change it up or your ends will look too long and too thin. And you're looking for the dough to be paper thin and where you can see your hand through it. There's no like official last number. You just have to kind of see how the pasta is. And it is getting thin and you can kind of see your hand, but it's not thin enough. Sometimes a double roll on the same number will achieve the same thing instead of going down a whole number, because sometimes you can go too thin. So I'm at the point where I think I might just do a double roll and see if that will give me what I would like. Okay, so this is the second roll on the same number, and it looks like it's a good, like you can see it, see my hand through the pasta, and the thickness of the feeling of it is also what I'm looking for. This dough is a little bit more wet than a typical pasta dough, only because it's a little bit easier for beginners to work with a wet dough. So, and you can see how clear my hand is through that pasta. In order to put it through like the cutters, it needs to be a little bit more dry. You're gonna take your pasta and dust it, and you want about like sheets like this, like 12 inches would be a good size sheet, and you dust between each layer so they don't stick. Try not to go too short and try not to go too long, and then if there's a tail like this, then just cut this one in half to even it out, so you don't have like a 4-inch one. And then we will just leave these out to let them air dry while you make more. And then once these are dry enough, then we'll go ahead and use the cutter. Now that the pasta sheet has dried a little bit, you can see this is fresh pasta, and then you can see that the way the dry pasta is. You can feel it definitely, but it's not as flimsy. So once the pasta's dried out a little, the fettuccine cutters might be the best for the stroganoff. Then once it cuts, my sheets actually can dry a little bit more, and then it will separate easier. But you'll separate them lightly. If they're a little stuck, don't panic. Lightly put some flour on the table and do a little swirl, and then your pasta.